Oh, come on, he's a miserable cocksucker fucking asshole. You hate him, admit it.
I like the guest to be the third segment because it controls me and keeps me from going out of hand with the time, which I tend to do occasionally. Who's getting the call right now is my good homeboy, Jon Aveni. He is the CEO, creator, and big boss man over at Rose Glen Entertainment, Rose Glen Productions. Let's call this dude. It's ringing. Is ringing. Is ringing. Doing my Skype dance. Do the Skype dance. Do the Skype dance. Let's hope he answers. Is he going to answer? It looks like he did.
Yo.
Via the Skype machine, live from the studio. Somebody who I've known for a bit in the periphery and have gotten a little more familiar with recently and hope to get a lot more familiar with as the time goes on. Blunt in his motherfucking mouth. Earbuds in, mic in front of his face. Welcome, Jon Aveni, CEO, Big Cheese, Rose Glen. Flame emojis in the chat for this shit. Look at your setup. Your setup making me look bad. Hold on a second.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Look at this. Look at this. All right, I'm at a desk now too. I'm at a desk now too. And
I got you behind me.
I got a computer and a mic in front of me now. See, we can both do this. Look, I got stickers on my laptop too. Okay. I got stickers.
What's happening, buddy? How is everything?
On my laptop too. It's good, man. How you been?
I'm great, man. We just saw each other the other day.
Yes, we did, and that's one of the reasons you are here. Some of the heads have already seen it. I don't know where the views are at this point. I assume it's like 100 and change or something, like that, maybe in the last couple days. But I came in to do as a guest for a change instead of host. Came in to visit your podcast, the Rose Glen podcast. When did you decide to start the podcast? Because before that, I knew you as a photographer, as a videographer, and just an overall hip-hop head that was out there in the Beantown scene doing things.
Right. Well, people like always suggest that you should do a podcast because you got these, all these people and yada, yada. You always got people coming through. Why not? You got the technology, everything. And, I was just like, that's not for me. That's, I enjoy watching them. I enjoy, listening to them, yada, yada. But that really just wasn't my thing. I was never an on-camera person. I never thought my opinion mattered much. You know what I mean? But as time went on, and you could tell that people kind of were asking for advice and asking for this and that they had an interest in what I was doing. So that led me to say, you know what, fuck it. I got enough people coming in and out. We might as well just turn some microphones on.
So before that, your main focuses were photography and videography. You've done a few videos for some people. Your most viewed video to date seems to be for the homeboy Rex, Boston MC.
Yeah, there was a video I did for Token out in LA that's on his page, might have more views. Stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not big into the view thing. But yeah, I did that. That Rex was the first MC that was signed that, I did a video for that was coming out on an album that was in stores, that was actually legit.
Yeah, he was the first dude. With him. I know you've rocked with him a few times. I know you rocked with the guys from Headshots. I know you and Lateb from Headshots have a love-hate relationship revolving around some sunglasses.
You know what? Hold on.
Do you have the glasses? Oh, my God.
These, I stole them back from him in Las Vegas.
Okay,
right?
so why don't you let the heads know what the deal with the fucking sunglasses and the ransom is?
That's an inside joke that went wild because Snapchat is, everything's online now. And
Nothing's
people
an
are
inside joke now. That's all podcast shit.
Right.
You feel me? That's definite. Like that's a podcast story. Straight
no,
up.
I can talk about it straight up. But what happened was basically I left these sunglasses. We took a trip to New York for something. I forget what it was. And I left these in his car. So he just started wearing them, and then he started posting on Snapchat in them, and he started just writing my name. Like instead of typing it, he would write it out, like, and scribble like child letters on Snapchat, and he would write, Rose Glen, like over the, right in here, Rose Glen, and he would put them on old people, he would put them on girls at the bar, he'd put them in a drink, he'd just do all sorts of fucked up shit with them, and he would Snapchat it. And everybody was like, who's Rose Glen? So then I went to a party of his at New Year's Eve last year, not this past one. And people literally were like, I thought you were a pair of sunglasses. Legit. So, you know, fast forward this summer, we're in Las Vegas, and we ended up shooting a music video. And at the beginning of that music video, you can see on my page, is the very first thing he says when we meet up at the airport is he quotes that Wu-Tang track, and he goes, reunited, double LP world excited. And he wasn't talking about us. He was talking about me and my sunglasses.
That's fantastic.
And
that's
fucking,
fantastic.
So that's just been a running joke. So what I did was I stole this pair back from him in Vegas, but honestly, he has another pair of mine now. So it's not really over with.
Let's have get your own goddamn sunglasses.
And which has then resulted in us biting the Ray-Ban logo and
but I like that. I like that. That's got that streetwear style. I know that's something you're juiced into up in Boston. Now, as a photographer, man, I've seen you everywhere. You mentioned it in the chat last night. You were on stage shooting the House of Pain show that I went to. I guess it was a year and nearly 2 years ago at this point. I think it was, with Right Hook and them. How many shows, hip hop or otherwise, do you think you've shot?
Oh man, probably not as many as you'd think. Probably around 100, 200 or something.
That's still a lot, man. Like, because you're talking about hours worth of shooting and editing and the 100 hours principle when it comes to people who do this type of work, where you can't even be considered a subject matter expert till you reach those fucking 100 hours. What would have been your favorite? Like, what is your favorite types of shit to shoot?
I like keeping
shows?
it diverse.
Do you prefer videos?
I really like keeping it diverse, because when I start doing rap stuff all day, I get fucking bored, man. But when I don't like, you know, weddings pay well, but I don't like doing 12-hour, 13-hour days. You know what I mean? So everything has a love-hate relationship. But, you know, dealing with rappers is fun because I can drink and I can smoke and no one looks at me sideways. But getting paid's a hassle. You know what I mean? So I've been doing a lot of hairdressing stuff in the last couple of years, which has resulted in traveling and resulted in meeting a lot of cool fucking people. And I kind of fell into doing that. I really like doing that, actually.
That's super versatile, man. That's exactly what you got to do in this game, is keep those different unfailable streams of income coming in. And hip-hop's kind of shaky. Hip-hop's shaky sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
To say the fucking least. I'm sure you've got some horror stories without naming names. What do you think your absolute worst shooting experience was with an artist, and why?
You know what's funny is I've been doing this, I'd say, professionally for like 6 years, and the worst experience was probably like 2 months ago. I got hired to shoot a show recap for an artist that I had never heard of, but a mutual friend asked, and that mutual friend was just an old friend of mine's like stepsister. So it was someone I had known, but I was never tight with. But I was like, yeah, I'll do you a solid, whatever. So I knew the kid. I knew exactly what to expect going in. He was one of these wannabe trap rappers who didn't have their shit together business-wise at all. He sent me a deposit, so I showed up, and it was the night Token had his show at the Met in Pawtucket. So I stopped by Token's show to say what up to him and Glass, and then I shot over to the show in Providence. So there's the start of my shitty night, is I leave that show that I want to be at early to do this fucking idiot a favor. And then I get there, and he, you know, my tickets aren't at the door, my name's not on a list, so I have to call him first off. First fucking mistake. Then the bouncer was like, well, he better pay me for those tickets because he didn't got no tickets left. So already I know they don't fucking respect him. So I'm like, great, you know, I'm here for some kid who claims he's headlining some show that I know he just paid for a slot at. Yeah. And it's at that fucking spot that used to be, what, Simon's or whatever? What's that? It's like a strip club now?
Oh, it was there?
Yeah, so I leave Pawtucket to go there, right? So I leave Pawtucket.
I didn't even know they were doing shows there. That's how out of touch I am.
Dude, this place, I wouldn't even call this a show. So what it is I go in, and there's a different group of people who paid for a corner of each club. And they, I don't know if you've been there since, but they revamped the place, and there's there's stripper poles, and there's a big bar in the middle where the kind of like the floor used to be. So now there's just kind of four corners of the club where there's like VIP sections. So basically each group of friends had bought a VIP section, and they all get a performance with it, is what I gathered. So this kid's trying to tell me he's headlining a show and yada yada. And really, I get there and I'm like, okay, you paid to be here. You don't even have any bottles. You're drinking like Coronas in the corner, pretending you're made of money. You then don't have the rest of my money. You're supposed to have the rest of the balance that night. Only gave me like the other, so he gave me a third of it down, and then he gave me the second, like 2/3 of it, there. So I had 2/3 of it, whatever. Another third when I got there. So basically, he didn't even pay me in full. So I was like, whatever, I'm here, whatever. I'll make the best of it. So I send him a video. He loves it, compliments my work ethic, yada yada yada, and then never hits me with the last, third of that money, which wasn't a lot of money because I did him a solid because of who asked me and, whatever. I was going to be in the area. So I see him online, like, trying to buy fucking booze on Christmas Day because the liquor stores are closed. And I'm like, yo, you could just answer my fucking text and pay me the money you owe me. You know what I mean? And he goes, I don't actually owe you no money. Like, I ain't even going to use that video. And I'm like, you're not going to use it because it has a fucking humongous Rose Glen stamp on it because you didn't pay for it yet.
Yeah, because it's got a fucking watermark on it, which is the way business gets done.
So, that was that, like, isn't even that bad of a story, but that's usually business has been pretty smooth.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, obviously, if that's the first time you've had to deal. But I was going to say, with Rex and Headshots and those guys, it seems like you've worked with some established dudes, and you've worked with someone who, you've mentioned his name twice. You were there for some iconic moments in that young man's come up, the big homie Token, who I'm a huge fan of over here, who I try to put everybody fucking onto. But you've been shooting him for a long time. Some of the videos as well as a lot of pictures of his shows. How did you get tuned up with John Glass, Token, Composition, and all those guys from John Glass's Super Rapper Camp, as I call it?
Right. Well, if you, I actually just had Glass on my podcast and we went over all this, which is cool because it's fresh in my mind.
Yo, and you can check out the Rose Glen podcast right here on YouTube. Rose Glen is the name of the channel, and I'm sure if you type in Rose Glen podcast, you're gonna get that's gonna be the first thing that pops.
You type in Rose Glen and it'll all pop up.
Rose Glen, Chuck Reeves, plug. But John Glass and those guys.
Yeah. So there used to be a club in Boston in the Fenway area that everyone threw shows at called Church, and I think Live Nation bought it, so now it's pretty much obsolete to our world. And I had met Glass through a mutual friend. He was like, yo, you got to meet John Glass, you guys would love each other, blah blah blah. So we hit it off and we really got along, and I had this idea shortly thereafter. This is probably 5-6 years ago, and I had this idea like, let's do a series where we just invite artists in, we give them original production, mixed and produced by him.
And that became in-house.
Right. So I'll shoot a green screen video, he'll produce it, it'll be all, done in-house, and we named the series in-house, and we did about 25 of them, I think, or 20 of them at least.
Rips was in one of them, the big homie Rips, tattoo
artist,
we had
Rips,
MC extraordinaire.
Right. I got to shoot with him Friday, too, so we'll see him Friday. But, yeah, man, it was cool. So I started doing that. I said, you want to get involved? I'm looking for a producer who's talented, but not like crazy fucking busy,
Or expensive. Which
right. Well, this was a collaborative thing.
Always come in, but.
Right. This was something I wanted to do collaborative. And I was like, let me reach out to some sponsors, blogs, maybe some clothing, whoever wants to, get involved. So he was like, yeah, I love it. Let me just get some of my artists involved. And just a year or two before that, he had left his demo or something, flyers to a show or something like that in a barbershop. And Composition, Colin, was in there getting his hair cut, left the demo. The dude gave it to Glass. Glass checked it out a few weeks later. Ended up meeting up with them just to see where their heads were at. And Token wasn't there, apparently. So this is how John met them. I'm rewinding a few years. So John met Token, met Composition and another kid in their group. And John, on a whim, bought tickets for them to go to a Hobson show. So John picked them up a few weeks later to go to that Hobson show, and that was the first time he met Ben, because he had bought Ben a ticket because he was part of that group. Token. So that was his first experience. So when I did the thing with Glass, he said, let me get my artists involved, and his artists were, Etiquette and a few other people at the time. And then he goes, I got a couple kids that are really talented. Do you mind if I bring them by? They're 14 and 15. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I just, I won't get high around him, whatever. He brings by Token and composition, and they were like amped to have me hear their music at this point. Token had never recorded on an original, like he had never had original beat. Like Glass wasn't even giving him production at this point. You know what I mean? So we shot, a couple episodes, we shot 20 episodes so that we included them, and that kind of was my initial introduction with Token. And then, we just became tight. I was always tight with Glass, and we kind of worked as a unit. And, we traveled to LA a few times together. Me, Glass, and Token went to LA for some meetings, for some shoots and stuff like that a few months before everyone went to Team Backpack, where I actually saw you.
Yep. The infamous drunk story, which you can hear only over there on the Rose Glen podcast. You get to hear about, I think, the last time Chuck got blotto fucking drunk and woke up with his ass showing somewhere in Hollywood, potentially in a gutter. The story's over there on that Rose Glen podcast.
Right. So basically I had met him, early on. So I was his kind of just go-to dude. We were tight, you know what I mean? He had a show, he'd call me. He had to do Sway in the morning. They called me, you know what I mean? Like, so he just kind of called me whenever they had something going on. Do you want to come to New York? Do you want to come to LA? Do you want to do this? And he actually bought my ticket to fly out to LA back before he was doing this hardcore. You know what I mean? So he was been dedicated.
So yeah, you've been there for his first headlining show. I know at the Middle East you were there. I think you're the one who took the picture of someone filming me with an iPad.
Yep.
It was like a weird Inception fucking photo of me talking to the iPad. Yeah, it was great. So yeah, so you've been there for these moments with Token. So it must be as good for you to see his rise as for somebody like me, because you're even closer to that situation.
Yeah, I love it, man, because then you hear songs. I forget what that song was, but you hear him referencing meetings that I was sitting in. You know what I mean? And stuff like that's cool.
That's fucking fantastic. See, that's, inside jokes.
Yeah,
inside jokes. It comes full fucking circle, man.
Yeah, man. So
I recently realized where the Rose Glen name came from after visiting the new podcast studio. Now that you've made this leap into broadcasting, so to speak, and you've got this space available, I know you have some sort of plan going forward to make this space available for other aspiring broadcasters, whether that be for YouTube, strictly audio, Twitch, fucking whatever people want.
Whatever they want to do. Yeah, well, I think mainly people recognize my name. I think I built everything off kind of doing people favors, doing people solids at first. And, when you break into an industry, like that's how I got into that hair stuff too. I did a couple solid favors. Turns out they were like the Kanye West and Drake of that industry, and they loved it. So like I'm at open bar parties in Midtown, you know what I mean, till fucking God knows when, leaving my camera at a club in fucking Manhattan. That actually happened at a hair fucking event. So like, I don't know, man. I honestly am high now, and I forget exactly what you asked me.
Oh, just about your future with the podcasting studio.
Oh, right. So the future with my podcast. I mean, like I feel like giving everyone an opportunity is the way I built the best relationships. So I got this spot that I use once or twice a week, and I got, all this other time it's kind of sitting here unused. I'm just sitting here editing. I figured I always see people post online the same way rappers need studio time, the same way everyone needs beats or whatever. People are looking for a spot like this to create their podcast, to whether it be streaming, whether it be high quality video instead of the webcam thing, and they need help with post-production, whether they need help with getting it on iTunes and they need help setting up an RSS feed in their website or whatever, artwork for it, anything like that I can handle. So I'm getting into that too, because it's just fun. I got some dead time in the winter for the most part, because we don't do as many shoots.
Yeah, it's slow show time now. It certainly is.
Right. Don't get it confused. Shooting photo and video is still what I make money from in my job, so that's where my focus is. This is kind of me having fun, and the second this stops being fun, you won't really see many more podcasts.
Well, it looks like you're having fun. You certainly have some interesting guests, and they're not even all entirely entertainers. One of my favorite episodes of your show was with the bus driver. And even though he is industry, those stories are far different than the ones you would get from the people riding in the back of the bus, because you're getting a mostly sober eye. And that, seriously, people should go check out all your podcasts. What do you, episode 15 dropped yesterday?
14 dropped yesterday. Yep.
14 dropped yesterday. And you're pumping those out, like you said, about 2 a week.
Well, actually, this has been 14. We've done all 14 since December 8th. So that's actually less than a month.
Yeah, so like 3 a week, 4 a week almost.
Yeah, that's just people have been available, I guess. That's what that is. And yeah, I guess it's just been people been available, so we've been pumping them out. I'll do them as much as I'm free and as much as I got interesting people. But Connor, the bus driver, like you said, yeah, it's a very different perspective because he's awake when they're sleeping and he's sleeping when they're awake. So you have the exact opposite eye of the tour, Yeah, the fixing the bus at 2 a.m. and they get to a venue and he's covered in oil and they don't know why because like they didn't wake up. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Him hitting a deer and they didn't wake up. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that is kind of crazy. Just completely different perspective.
It's great that you've been able to expand that podcast past your typical rapper or even comedian, which is something that definitely, as much as people in the hip hop industry, the podcast is a way to get shit out there. Comedians too. Comedians especially. I like to think that I have a comedy leaning sometimes on this show. Certain people would fucking disagree for sure. What about you? Do you think the Illuminati's real? That's a random question, but it was what I was just talking about before you came on.
I was watching a little bit before I came on. And the Illuminati real...
Somebody if
you ask me, like, if you ask me is like is the Bilderberg meeting real, is Skull and Bones real, all those things are real,
they're all real.
Yeah,
but what I mean is, like, nobody rapper says that the Illuminati is real and nobody cares. But if Madonna came out and said it, like, maybe it's got a little more weight to it. And especially somebody like Charlie Daniels, who's been in the business 50 years. I don't know. I just know I'm frightened. That's all I fucking know. Do me a favor. Tell the heads where they can catch you on all your social media, where they can check out the videos, the motherfucking photos, the Twitter feeds, all that shit.
All that shit can be found. It's at Rose Glen ENT for entertainment. Rose Glen ENT on everything. Rose Glen Productions on YouTube. roseglen.me for the website, which everything can be found. All the episodes of the podcast, links to any other social media, highlights of work, all that stuff. So you can find everything from the Rose Glen website, roseglen.me.
Well, excellent. Heads, do me a favor, drop another avalanche of motherfucking flame emojis. We're pulling up on 12:30. I think I'm going to let you go. We're going to speak soon, man. Like I said, no announcement or total decision has been made yet, but one of the properties from over here on the Chuck Reeves channel may make its home over there at those Rose Glen studios that we were talking about before. Not this week, but potentially next week. And
do it.
As always, man, fucking peace and well wishes to you and continued success. And yeah, we'll talk soon, man.
For sure. All right, give me a call, brother. Take care.
Right, peace. The big homie, Rose Glen, stopping by the Beard. That podcast was super enjoyable for me. Well, let me go close up so you guys know him. So you know it's real. Let's see. Oh, shit, I got 70 people watching still. Shouts out to all of you. If you could please subscribe if you haven't done so. All right, especially if you're new to the show. Make sure you're liking or disliking. Look, it's exactly even right now, my likes and dislikes. And it's almost exactly the number of people I got watching. So do me a favor, please, like this. Come back when it's an archive and drop some comments, too. That shit hasn't changed. All right, I know you guys are here for the live shit. Come back for the repeat. Don't play yourself. Drop a real comment. But yeah, that podcast was super enjoyable. He's real personable. He's a real good dude, real hard worker, and he can do a lot for you if you are an aspiring artist, comedian, or any kind of media person at all in the Northeast area. Rose Glen ENT